Um, when I think about certain, I really even wonder if they're, I- I'm gonna call them foreign entities. I don't even know if they're, I don't even know if they're people. That's how foreign they are. Isn't that just that they just are just so vastly different? I mean, there's one of them who speaks about having empathy, and I'm like, yeah, their definition of having empathy isn't the same. That doesn't have the same characteristics of my definition of somebody who has empathy. Just same thing with the ones that want to be friends, and I'm like, well, uh it looks like that their idea of being a friend is just like totally different than my idea of being a friend. Uh, just like somebody's idea of humor or what's funny, and going, well, that's not my idea of funny and humorous. Somebody's idea of what healthy sex is about, and going, ooh, that's really not my idea of healthy sex or a healthy relationship or and it's just like it's just really weird. It's kind of like, I mean, it's just like so bonkers. I mean, when I think about some of the crap that I've been through, and when I think about who it was that ended up doing different things, and just the let me give an example. Somebody tries to kill me inside a building, and does it in an area where there's not any hidden cameras or anything to pick up on it, and then takes me to an area after trying to kill me, and act stupid about what they did, and then make sure that there's a camera and them giving me a hug. And I'm like, it's just kind of like, it's like WTF moment. Somebody just tried to kill me, then all of a sudden they take me to where there's a camera in order to record them, a hidden camera in order to record them hugging me. And it's just like, dang. But that hug right where there's a camera is just that's one of the signature things is somebody just doing their stuff and just making sure it's on camera, and it's like it's to deflect the attention off of them. That's really what it boils down to. I mean, just imagine the ones that just sit there and I mean, it's just like the number of times that 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 I was taken to a place, and then all of a sudden I'm like, crap. So that's the reason why they were made a point of doing X, Y, and Z. What was that was kind of like part of the game to them. Like games have different directions and stuff, and player number one does this, player number two does this, player number three. But anyhow, it gets, and it's just like crap. And then I think about it, it's just like it's just like Dahmer. Women were women knew something was up, and many times men can know that something's up. But I want to bring that out because so many times there's one guy that I mean, he's like sandpaper on my ass with some of the stuff that he does, and it's just he just reeks of just basically skewing stuff and manipulating data and has some sort of hidden agenda. And it just, like I said, it just kind of like an analogy to taking a piece of sandpaper to my ass, or a Brillo pad or something like that, and that's not supposed to be on my ass. Let me just add that little bit of tidbit in there for anybody that might not comprehend or have the neuron synapse, and that basically sandpaper, especially the really rough sandpaper, that doesn't go on somebody's ass to wipe their ass. But anyhow, but what he ends up doing is basically he skews stuff, and it's not like he's stupid. Uh, I don't think he's stupid at all, but it's just like he's obnoxious as shit. But basically the idea of my way or the highway, that unless somebody he screams kind of like of being like a cult leader, like Jim Jones, that basically have to bow down and worship him, or else basically you'll get sent to the gorilla pit. Um, Jim Jones was involved in what was called the People's Temple, and there was a gorilla pit that when people ended up misbehaving, they got to demonstrate the gorilla pit that Jim Jones never demonstrated. I mean, I just just the hypocrisy of a cult leader, of a hypocrite, and then I think about how much Jesus couldn't stand them, and it's just like, no wonder Jesus couldn't stand the hypocrites. No wonder Jesus said, "Woe unto ye hypocrites." I mean, and I think about the stuff, and there's somebody who ended up doing stuff about how Jesus is the truth, and then I ended up doing some more reading on this stuff, and ended up reading more about what it is that is attributed to what Jesus had to say, and it's like, but I also think that also gets back to a bigger issue, that people are just lazier than crap, and that well, there are some that think that Jesus was just a prophet, and I'm like, no, they've missed the boat. And then there's some that say that the Bible is just a fable, and I'm like, well, I know that technically speaking, according to some lawyer, it's just hearsay evidence, but it's like I think there's been enough stuff, archaeological digs or whatever they're called, that would indicate that Jesus was for real, and that Jesus was on earth, walked the earth, and just from, who was it, Josephus, or some guy that ended up writing a bunch of stuff. But when I look back at things, whew, that indicates that I need to get some coffee in me. But anyways, um, oh, do I need some coffee in me? I just jumped tracks. I tell you what. I also think about, yeah, there's many different things that I think about. And I mean, I think being able to think about stuff is very it's an important thing to end up doing. Even in the area of education, the application of the application of knowledge is what they say is like the highest form of learning something, is being able to apply something. I mean, it's just like I mean, and that's according to what they say. My point being is and the application of knowledge thing. When somebody's a bully and you don't, and people like myself don't like being around bullies, and it's like it's best to avoid bullies whenever at all possible. And that's way before. I mean, it's the same thing like with information being skewed and intentionally manipulated. It's like, well, maybe I need to gather my own evidence and do my own research and not be lazy. Just like what I jumped tracks and forgot about. It's amazing how the mind works. Basically, someone else brought me back on the choo choo tracks. Uh, that basically people are being lazy and they're not reading the Bible for themselves, and that's where it's like the, what is it, the get up challenge, the hoedown. That basically the hoes in the pulpits are just having a field day on how lazy people are and how they're not reading the Bible for themselves. And how, I mean, Kenneth Copeland, I tell you what, his distortions and just the pulling crap out of his butt routine, and just the different ones that do their crap, and I just bet I'll give you another one. That goes by the name Jim Baker. What it is Jim Baker. I remember going to different places, and they'd have the Jim and Tammy Faye Baker show on, or whatever they called it. And I just looked at Jim Baker, and it's like when I saw him, as soon as I saw Jim Baker, I had to cringe. It's just like, cringe. It's kind of like when I had to listen to Henry Kissinger. The first reaction was cringe, like just like being told I had to go to church, cringe. Just like being told that I had to go to school, cringe. Just like when uh, I, I I was told that I had to take dancing lessons, cringe. That basically there was like a um kind of like the equivalent of taking, what is it, baking soda and vinegar and adding together and just like and it's just like I was having my own little reaction to the stuff, and but I also want to say that there's a reason why, basically there's always a reason. I might not understand what the reason is at the time, but I think that the reason why some things have happened to me and have harmed me was so when I ran into people And I'm not saying it's a good thing that I was harmed, but what I'm getting is I think that many times God ends up using different things and turn stuff around so that it's like there are times that I've run into complete strangers and it's like I knew that I had to say something and they would look at me like, huh, why did I say something? I said, well, I just felt like that's what God, what what did I say? Things like I felt like that's what I needed to say, and then they would in turn tell me that, oh, that such and such was going on in their life and or whatever else, and but I think that they were kind of like shocked that it's just like I knew nothing about them, but yet was able to sit there and say stuff to them that impacted them. It's just like when I've been given different dreams and different visions, and the dreams and visions have come to pass. And that's also the reason why when I think about the people who are it's kind of like Harold Camping doing the such and such is going to happen on such and such a date and not happening. I call them the date setters and stuff. Yeah, that's very dangerous territory. Same thing with the ones, thus saith the Lord, and they're just pulling stuff out of their ass. That's a big time no. Same thing, but I also think that some of the ones that are doing I'm gonna play around and pretend to be something in the area of I'll call it church, that are doing it, that think that who are the wolves in the pulpits and stuff, who are intentionally deceiving people. I really don't want to be in their shoes come Judgment Day. I really mean that. Um, I mean, just imagine somebody sitting there and going, "Oh well, I just decided to put on a costume, and well, here's my self-written immunity from being prosecuted, and well, I was under the grace period. I didn't know there was anything wrong with raping people and helping rapists, and I mean, just imagine the bullshit that some of them are going to be peddling. Well, I thought it was normal to record people getting undressed. Why, I thought it was normal to lie about medical and dental procedures. Well, I know they were getting beat up, but I didn't want to hurt my fingernails and try to stop the fight, and I my hair looked so good, and I just didn't want to get my hair messed up. Well, I didn't know that was called enabling. My point being is oh, I didn't know that by my enabling the wicked to do wickedly, that I'd be looked at as being a coward. There's a bunch of stuff that's going to be coming, and I think that's the reason why it's like there's one of them, and I tell you what, there's different kinds of love, and there's just it's just wild how different people have come into my life, and it's kind of like going out and going, that's one I really like there, and then just kind of like going, I don't want to have anything to do with that one over there and that one over there. Basically, I've given them enough times to try to behave, and they refuse to behave. And it's like, I might see them in my peripheral vision, but it's like, that basically I'll avoid contact whenever possible. That basically, they're not funny, they're not humorous, they're not fooling me. They're pains in the ass. Chances are, not only have they been a pain in the ass to me, but they've been a pain in the ass to people who are just like me. And basically, and it's like even in the area of psychology where somebody ends up doing so many deviant behaviors that their consciences are seared, and just going, they've just done so much crap that it's like, and then like after looking at like this section of the movie Bad Seed and looking at little girl going, it's just like the child in the movie Bad Seed, that they might look nice, but there's just something very ugly about them, and just going, beauty. So, some people, in fact, come to the realization that oftentimes their beautiful outward appearance is kind of like analogous to like shiny packaging that like when going to a store to get something, and going for the whatever it is in the glossy packaging, and then going, dang, maybe going for the stuff in the glossy package wasn't the best idea after all. But that also, I mean, just think about let's say somebody is wrapped up in glossy packaging. I'll give an example. When I was like in, I think it was sixth grade, I walked to a place because somebody wanted to uh, uh, be a groupie to nationally known band, and it was like, oh, she just and she was like just so ecstatic over the band members and a particular band member and all that kind of stuff, and that was like on the top of her party, and then that basically she just had to go to the concert, and had to see the band members and all that kind of junk. And then so where the band members were staying wasn't far from me, so we ended up getting up the next morning and ended up walking where the band members were. And I remember one of the band members sitting there, and I mean, she wanted a hug with them and all that kind of stuff. And I remember the band member reaching to give me a hug, and I looked at him like, who do you think you are? Basically, I don't want anything to do with you. And then I looked at all the little groupies jumping on the tour bus with the band members, and I thought, what an empty life. What an empty life for the ones that were the band members to think that that was basically a, a life of luxury, if that makes sense. That's not my idea of a pleasant life. Being on some sort of tour bus and getting my ass dragged around all over the place and all that kind of stuff, and having to be on a stage to perform. Perform. Time to get on stage and perform. And but I think back on it, it's just like, well, what about the people that got on the bus with them that thought that they were, oh, really great, and oh man, baby, I gotta have I gotta be a sex object for so and so, but because I'm like, eh. I mean, that was, like I say, I think that was probably sixth grade or something. My point is that basically what was what was filling up their empty spot. I was like, talk about looking for love in the wrong places. That's what it hit me as. How is acting like a rabbit or acting like a dog in heat or whatever else like that, and doing whatever? How is that just I mean, it's extremely perplexing. Which also deals with something as far as when I look at some of the nutcases out there. I do mean nutcases. I probably should have gotten what it is I was told that I could end up looking at a video, and the video dealt with people having sex and all that kind of stuff. I should have probably written down the title of the video and made a copy of it or something, or whatever else, as far as just the whack jobs out there, and what they think normal is. Basically, ju- just because some sexual deviant thinks that something's normal does not mean it fits the definition of normal. I'll just simplify it like that. But also there's times where um I call it, there's not a one size fits all equation. There I've just seen so many times where certain ones that were up to no good ended up being up to no good, and I should have listened to my gut instinct. But I also bring up that because that David in the Bible ended up picking up, what was it, 5 different stones and stuff. But all the different people around David were saying, "Oh, take my armor, put this on, do this, do that," and David kind of like drowned them out, and didn't listen to him. That basically, I think that also deals with the artwork, dealing with the ones just sitting there and picking up the sticks and stuff that they're gonna end up throwing into a fire in order to burn a man alive, and they're thinking that they're that's what God wants, is to go around and burn men and women alive and to do different stuff. And I'm like, that's I look at some of the stuff and it's just like that's part of the reason why I hate going to churches. I really do. It's like, oh, in order for me to be looked at as being acceptable, then I have to pick up a Bible verse and read whatever. Who it's kind of like playing Simon Says. Oh, Simon Says, pick up the Bible. Simon Says, turn it to page 234. Simon Says. I mean, that's what I equate churches like. I know that might sound bonkers, but it's like Simon Says, you can now walk across the aisle. Simon Says, come forward and uh receive communion. Simon Says, uh uh bow your head. Simon Says, bend down. Simon Says, sit down. Simon Says, turn around. Simon Says, go around. Simon Says, and that's the reason why when I think about Gary Larson's mug with the aerobics and hell, that reminds me so much of going to church and some of the crap. It even reminds me of having to or being forced to do different things. It's just kind of like, oh, it's the aerobics and hell time. Um, and it's not that I'm in hell right now. It just deals with the ones that have the propensity to bring hell to earth instead of doing the will of God. And it's the same ones that are wicked, basically. That enjoy destroying people's lives, that have gone like, oh, between God's side and Apollyon's side, I want to pick Apollyon the Destroyer side, is kind of the choice that they've made. Just like, oh well, I have a chance to help somebody else and actually be warm and caring and kind and not destroy. I mean, I don't know if I said that right or not. I really got to get some coffee. But anyhow, I mean, and what it is in order to phone for help, the number is 911, and it's like it's just sitting there and screaming, and just like September 11th is the same thing as 911. And what's really wild is they even call it 911. Well, 911. Pick up your phone and dial 911, and it's like, well, actually, that would be a 911 because there's no 11 on the dial pad, whatever you want to call it. Um,